25. Thank you for joining us today. Hope everyone's had a great week and a good end to your week. We're going to continue reading through the Gospel of Luke. We're in Luke chapter 14. Hoping you'd open up your Bibles and read along with us. Mark?
Have a great week. I'm still riding high off the meeting we had.
That's right.
Really good. Encourage everyone again. If you weren't here, go to the website, go to YouTube, Facebook, listen to the lessons that Ben Hall presented. You'll really be encouraged by those and challenged. Okay, Luke chapter 14. One Sabbath, when he went in to eat at the house of one of the leading Pharisees, they were watching him closely. There in front of him was a man whose body was swollen with fluid. In response, Jesus asked the experts of the law and the Pharisees, "Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath or not?" But they kept silent. He looked at the man, healed him, and sent him away. And to them he said, "Which of you whose son or ox falls into a well will not immediately pull him out on the Sabbath day?" And they could not answer to these things. He told a parable to those who were invited when he noticed how they would choose the best places for themselves. When you are invited by someone to a wedding banquet, don't sit in the place of honor, because a more distinguished person than you may have been invited by your host. The one who invited both of you may come and say to you, "Give your place to this man," and then in humiliation you will proceed to take the lowest place. But when you are invited, go and sit at the lowest place, so that when the one who has invited you comes, he will say to you, "Friend, move up higher." You will then be honored in the presence of all the other guests. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and the one who humbles himself will be exalted. He also said to the one who had invited him, "When you give a lunch or a dinner, don't invite your friends, your brothers or sisters, your relatives, your rich neighbors, because they might invite you back and you would be repaid. On the contrary, when you host a banquet, invite those who are poor, maimed, lame, or blind, and you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous." David, what there?
Yes. So Jesus here used this illustration of a feast, and he talks about taking where you would sit at the feast. And then he makes this famous statement in verse 11, "Anyone or everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted." This truth. And what he's getting at, it doesn't matter where you sit, but more who you are. But who you are will often determine your choices and how you make yourself appear before others. James, the half-brother of Jesus, uses this exact language in James chapter 4 and verse 10, and he adds one additional phrase: "He who humbles himself or exalts himself in the presence of the Lord." And that's what Jesus is really getting at here, I believe. The person who trusts himself, who lowers himself, who's willing to humble himself, God will see to his exaltation. Not necessarily here in this life, but he will be exalted in the eyes of God. And that is just a good warning to us, to humble ourselves into the presence of the Lord, to see ourselves as lowly. Don't try to get our own, prop up our own reputation and try to seek the praise of others and try to secure blessings for ourselves, but put our trust in God, knowing that he sees and he will perfectly acknowledge us in his presence.
Yeah, that's the motivation. Jesus isn't trying to tell us how to work the system.
Yeah.
If you want to be exalted, make sure you sit in the low spot so they'll move you up to where you really want to be. No, it is all about the idea of being humble. That's really what Jesus is really getting at. Thanks a lot for that. Okay, well, thanks for joining. I hope that was helpful to you as you were studying along with us today. If you have any questions, comments, put them in the Facebook comments below or YouTube. We'd love to try to add something to the conversation with one another. If you're in the Louisville area, we want to encourage you to be here this coming Sunday, and we'll have, in just about another 5 minutes, a short exhortation letting you know what we're going to be talking about, what's going to be going on at the Douglas Hill Church this weekend. So